Customer bisa gokul, jadi kena ada sesau. Nampak? Dia pukul fungsi latihan. Sama. $5 ya. $5 ya. Kenapa dia? The criminals also use it. Yeah, already.
This one is portable and it can identify
This is a marine traffic website. It shows us vessels around the world and also provides several information pertaining to a particular vessel.
The Honourable Pravind Kumar Jugnauth, Prime Minister, Minister of Home Affairs, External Communications and National Development Unit, Minister of Finance and Economic Development, Mr. Sudhamo, Director General, Mauritius Revenue Authority, Mr. Vivekanand Rambaran, Director, Customs Department, members of the MRA Board, directors of the Mauritius Revenue Authority, Mr. Jean-Claude Juncker, President, MRA Staff Association, valued stakeholders, distinguished guests, members of the press, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, bon après-midi, boa tarde. We are gathered today for the celebration of the International Customs Day 2018 and the launching of the MRA Corporate Plan 2018-2020. The International Customs Day is celebrated every 26 January to commemorate the first meeting of the Customs Cooperation Council in 1952. Every year, the WCO sets a theme on which customs administration are called upon to dwell and take action. This year's theme is a secure business environment for economic development. At the national level, this theme coincides with the coming into operation of the Economic Development Board. So without taking too much time, I will now call upon Mr. Vivekanand Rambaran, Director Customs, to deliver his address on the occasion of the International Customs Day.
I am privileged and honored to welcome you all for this occasion, which is celebrated every year on the 26th of January to mark the inaugural session of the Customs Cooperation Council, which is also known as the World Customs Organization. I'd also like to thank our chief guest, Honourable Pravind Kumar Jugnauth, for having graced this function by his presence. Thank you, sir. Each year, the World Customs Organization has a theme, and this year the theme is a secure business environment for economic development. Under this theme, customs administration around the world are encouraged to look on how they can create an environment for business to prosper and how they can foster the participation in the cross-border trade and how they can best serve the people and empower entrepreneurs, especially SMEs. With globalization, there is a constant pressure on customs to change. Some other pressures, driving forces for change, are the increasing number of trade and travelers, organized crime, terrorism, counterfeiting and smuggling, illicit narcotics and drug trafficking, and the expectation from our stakeholders for speedier clearances. It is an indelible fact that trade will flow to a country which has got an environment that is predictable, that is certain, and which is secure. We talk about secure environment. We're not talking here only about customs. We talk about the logistics sector. We're talking about security along the whole supply chain. So if ever we have to secure the environment, it means that we have to secure the whole supply chain. Customs is just one operator in the whole supply chain. However, bearing in mind that we have to facilitate trade, we have over the years benchmarked our system with the best practices in the world, especially those of the Revised Kyoto Convention for the harmonization of trade procedures. We have benchmarked our system with the World Trade Organization Trade Facilitation Agreement, which I must say was only the fourth country in the world to have ratified it. Today it's already come into force. Now, what have we done over the years to facilitate trade? In fact, we have facilitated to such an extent à l'outrance. So what I'm talking about here is like automating all the procedures. Today, nobody have to come to customs. You can send your declaration right from your home anywhere, or even from abroad. You have to scan and send it to us. Clearance time, previously, it used to be so long, but clearance time, if based on our risk management system, 36% of our declaration of a cargo, of consignment, are released less than 30 seconds, 13 minutes. Well, how have we done that? We have used risk management principle. So each and every declaration that comes in customs, they go through a risk management engine. And this is where we classify between green, yellow, and red. So the pure green will go within 30 minutes. The yellow will have some document to check, and the red will be subject to examination. On top of that, just to promote SMEs, because it's true that if somebody takes a loan and like a business, he takes a loan, come to customer, and customer says, you have to pay so much money. The guy has not to sell anything, right? So what has been done last year is we have introduced a system of deferred payment scheme. What does that mean? Is whatever you have imported, you pay on the next 7th of the next month, which means that you're able to sell it and then pay customer. This is how we are trying on our side to promote SMEs. Also, the freight rebate scheme for SMEs has been put in place. And the tax for export-oriented companies has gone down to 6%, instead of 15%. We have also introduced a concept of pre-arrival clearance. What is that? This means that even if your goods have not landed in Mauritius, you can take custom can allow you clearance. Why they can do that? We can do that because we get the manifest 24, 48 hours after they leave the last port of call. So we'll be having 5 to 6 days to do our risk management. So once the manifest has already been sent to customs, the declarants can send the bill of entry. Now, I have got a request here to the declarants that please submit your declaration prior to the ship coming. Don't wait for the ship to come. Why? I'm telling you this. This is because in the doing business, we have lots to go. The doing business indicator, the World Bank. And one way we can improve there is if we submit the bill of entry prior to the ship coming, we do all our risk management, and when the ship comes, the container goes directly on the lorry and goes, instead of waiting here for so many days. So this will reduce costs on the whole supply chain. On the enforcement side, sir, I can't miss to say that this has been 2017 has been a very fruitful year. After 4 months of putting in place our customs anti-narcotic section, we have the biggest seizure ever in this, not only in Mauritius, but in the part of the world. 157 kgs. And this is going on. How we do that, sir, is by having a network of information. We analyze not only the information that we have at customs, but on the whole supply chain. On top of that, we have made our network with all the countries in this region, like we're starting from Afghanistan. Now we're in process of having a MOU with Afghanistan, Pakistan, Kenya, Mozambique, Comoros, Réunion Island, Seychelles, Madagascar. We talk every day with them. Whenever we have got an information and we've analyzed something and we've found something that can help others, just keeping the information to yourself won't help. What we need is the drug not to come to Mauritius. This is what we want. Because once it's come to Mauritius, there's a possibility that something can happen. So we want the drug to be stopped there. How do we do that? So whenever we have analyzed information, we send to our networks in customs. We have a big customs brotherhood, in fact, I must say. And let me tell you what happened a couple of weeks back. Based upon some information that we have gathered on seizures at courier services, we had some names there. When we sent this to SARS, South African Revenue Service, they were able to stop one person with 3 kgs of heroin that was supposed to come to Mauritius. Second, I could say is that last week, we have a network where we can send information to the customs brotherhood. I mean, I can send them and they can send. So they'll send us information that one person was coming from Brazil. Brazil, then going to South Africa and coming to Mauritius with drugs. And this guy was arrested again in Brazil because of the information that has been gathered all over the supply chain. So this is the way we should be working today. It's not that you keep it with you. Let the whole world benefit from what you have. So when the cases of 137 kgs of heroin came, we found some weaknesses in the whole system. One of the weaknesses was that people were able to usurp the identities of other importers to import. Of course, with some people knowing the identities of such importers. So what we have done, and what you will going to launch, is a mobile app. So if you're importer X, when a bill of entry has been passed at customs in your name, automatically something goes to you, saying that, are you aware this bill has been passed for your name? If the guy says yes, no problem. If the guy says no, then the whole system of enforcement will start. So based upon weaknesses that we have had, we have introduced such system, and it's very dear to our DG, that we have to have such a system which can help importers to know not only that the identity has been usurped, but also at what stage of processing the bill of entry are. On top of that, we have found some dysfunctionalities in respect to persons who have been authorized to transact business at customs. So now we are working on a new framework for freight forwarders and brokers. Synthetic drug is something that is affecting our country, our youngsters, not more than yesterday. It was like we came to work at 11. So somebody came to see me and told me that, you know what, this synthetic drug has been havoc the place where he lives. So this year, sir, our focus is going to be on synthetic drugs, on money laundering, on terrorism financing. So other projects that we have in place, sir, based upon the challenges that customs is facing, one of the big challenges that customs is facing is e-commerce. Well, under 20,000, experts say that it will go, the amount of commerce will go by 4 trillion USD. So here, we need to do something on e-commerce. Illicit financial flows. This is a big problem for Africa. And the amount of illicit financial flows that we have in Africa is enormous. My friend from FIU can testify. On top of that, terrorism, how we can stop, we're working with other agencies in the government. Because we are at the border, it's very important that we also get information on terrorism. Why? Because terrorism won't come only, he may send his cargo, but without me knowing that this guy has been trained in, I don't know, some countries. So now we are starting working in close collaboration with other agencies involved in fighting terrorism. And this we are also using, we are coming up with advanced passenger information and passenger name record, which could help us. So, last but not least, I would like to put on record my appreciation to the whole customs family, to the MRA, to the private sector, to the brokers and freight forwarders and all other economic operators in the supply chain who have helped us achieve our targets. In fact, we achieve all those targets, and I look forward to continue to work with you now. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you, Mr. Rambaran, for your speech. I now have the pleasure to invite the Director General, MRA, to deliver his welcome speech. Sir.
Your Excellency, Honourable Prime Minister, the MRA heartily and warmly welcomes you this time at its Customs Headquarters on the occasion of the International Customs Day and the launching of the 2018-20 MRA Corporate Plan. Thank you for taking the time out of your hectic schedule to once again grace our function. We really appreciate, sir. Customs play an important role in our country by protecting our borders, facilitating trade, and collecting a sizable amount of revenue. Customs administrators around the world operate in a dynamic and highly complex environment. On the one hand, they have to address on a daily basis the two conflicting challenges of facilitating trade and preventing the entry of illicit goods in the country. On the other hand, they have to deal with new and emerging threats such as fraud, money laundering, transfer pricing, amongst others. In order to meet these challenges, the MRA Customs has to undergo a constant and perpetual positive transformation. Ladies and gentlemen, continuous reform and modernization cannot happen without an appropriate structure which provides for flexibility and autonomy. The MRA Act, which was promulgated in 2004, had set out this framework for fast, efficient, and effective decision taking. We shall always remember that it was you, sir, as Minister of Finance, who introduced the MRA bill in the National Assembly and therefore set the stage for a new tax and customs administration framework in Mauritius. The Director of Customs has already elaborated on the series of initiatives and projects which have been implemented or in pipeline. It's only by coming up with new projects, new processes, business-friendly procedures, and rapid automation that we can enhance the efficiency of customs administration, and by doing so, assist in sharpening the competitive edge of our nation. Over the past decade, our policies and strategies for customs administration have been coherent and properly disseminated to all our staff and our stakeholders. Let me dwell on some major ones. First, automation. Our core strategy was aimed at moving data instead of moving people. The introduction of the paperless customs declaration was the major breakthrough. It was followed by the implementation of a web-based customs declaration portal which allows online submission of bills of entry from any remote location, national or international, at any point in time. Second, effective risk management to target risky containers and expedite clearance of less risky ones. Since risk management is largely dependent on data quality, we have widened and deepened our data sources through information exchanges, a series of MOUs, coordinate border management, intelligence gathering, to mention just a few. Third, the overhauling of processes and procedures to reduce dwell time through post-clearance audit, pre-arrival processing, non-intrusive inspection technologies such as scanners and CCTV and ISO certification. Today, on the occasion of the International Customs Day, we will launch 5 new projects. First, the mobile app for bill of entry status. It allows importers and exporters to have real-time visibility of the status of their validated bill of entry on mobile devices. Second, the online currency declaration platform, which is an e-service for travelers who intend to transit or leave Mauritius with more than 500,000 rupees or its equivalent in foreign currency to make a declaration online. It therefore avoids passengers from the hassle of completing declaration forms at the airport. Third, the one-stop shop for motor vehicles, which is a dedicated unit encompassing all procedures relating to the clearance of motor vehicles. It aims at reducing non-compliance by operators and facilitating trade. Fourth, the utilization of drones to reinforce port surveillance and gather information on drug trafficking and illicit entry of goods. Fifth, the 2018-20 MRA Corporate Plan. Ladies and gentlemen, let me say a few words on one of the most important documents published by the MRA, its Corporate Plan. There are at least 5 good reasons to take time and devote resources to prepare and publish a corporate or strategic plan, namely to set directions and priorities, to get everyone on the same page, to simplify decision making, to drive alignment, and to communicate our message. The 2018-20 Corporate Plan we are launching today is an expression of our dreams and vision of successful results. It's the fruit of several months of research, brainstorming, outside-the-box thinking by the MRA management team, our Research, Policy and Planning Directorate, and MRA staff. The MRA Corporate Plan sets out 5 core objectives, namely easing tax compliance, promoting taxpayers' education, communication, and facilitation, developing people, processes, and technology, facilitating trade and reinforcing our borders, and strengthening good governance and improving corporate image. Corporate Plan elaborates on the strategic initiatives and projects that have been identified to implement these initiatives, and in doing so, achieve the key strategic objectives. I'm aware that there has always been concerns about beautiful plans which are never implemented. Let me therefore assure the Honourable Prime Minister and all our stakeholders that we will implement this plan. And we have a well-framed strategy in place to do it. Our implementation strategy is basically to allocate the 107 projects and initiatives in the plan to MRA's 13 directorates over the 3-year period. During every 6-month performance appraisal exercise, each MRA director is required to report progress on projects assigned to him or her. Therefore, poor project implementation leads to poor marks under our robust performance appraisal system. Ladies and gentlemen, we can have the best strategy and plan in the world, the most advanced technology. But at the end of the day, it is the people in an organization who make things happen. On the occasion of the International Customs Day, I solemnly recognize the contribution of all MRA staff in ensuring that we deliver our mandate every year. Let me also reassure all my staff of my commitment and that of the MRA management team to help, assist, empower, and reward the MRA workforce and promote sound industrial relations and a good working environment. Honourable Prime Minister, MRA is proud to be a part of your plan to mitigate the hardships of low-paid employees through payment of negative income tax and special allowance. I have the pleasure to submit that MRA has already credited the negative income tax to the accounts of about 29,000 low-paid employees, and today 9,000 employees are being credited by payment of special allowance to ensure your commitment to top up the minimum wage so that every worker gets a salary package of rupees 9,000. I and my team assure you, sir, that we shall sincerely implement the policies of the government with dedication and efficiency, and in this connection, our commitment goes beyond revenue. Today, on this occasion, I am constantly being reminded of some inspirational words by Mother Teresa, who once said, and I quote, "None of us, including me, ever do great things. But we can all do small things with great love, and together we can do something wonderful." My message to our MRA staff is for all of us to be inspired by the words of Mother Teresa and work together as a team to achieve wonders for our country and its people. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you, DG, for your wonderful speech. I now have the honor and privilege to invite the Honourable Pravind Kumar Jugnauth, Prime Minister, Minister of Home Affairs, External Communications and National Development Unit, Minister of Finance and Economic Development, to deliver his keynote address on the occasion of the International Customs Day.
The Chairperson and members of the Mauritius Revenue Authority Board, the Director General, the Director of Customs, management team, the representatives of the MRA Staff Association, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is indeed a great pleasure for me to be with all of you to celebrate the International Customs Day and for the launching of the MRA Corporate Plan 2018-2020. And it is indeed very appropriate that the World Customs Organization has decided that 2018 be dedicated to strengthening the security of the business environment with the slogan, "A secure business environment for economic development. This theme is particularly pertinent to Mauritius, where trade is the very mainstay of our economy and crucial to our country's development. Ladies and gentlemen, in the past 3 decades, Mauritius has taken full advantage of the increasingly open world trade to industrialize. This has enabled us to diversify our economy and create employment at a rapid pace in the 80s and early 90s. And as a result, the unemployment rate reached as low as 2% in the early 90s. And Mauritius steadily moved up the income ladder, graduating from a low income to an upper middle income status within a relatively short span of time. However, the global economy has evolved over time, and we have had to adapt all along. But one reality has not changed. Our economy and our country's development are still highly dependent on trade, which will stay as the main driver of growth for many more years to come. And to embrace globalization and trade liberalization, we have brought about significant reforms in our trade policies. For example, back in 2004, I introduced the duty-free shopping paradise concept and removed or lowered duty on a wide range of imports. And as a result, customs duty now represents a mere 2% of our tax revenue, compared to 11% in 2004-2005. 20 years ago, customs duty accounted for 40% of our tax revenue. I decided that Mauritius should become a duty-free island because I was convinced that we needed trade then, as we do now, not because of the tax revenue it generates, for trade is not an end in itself, nor should tax revenue be an end in itself. We need more trade so that we can be more job and wealth creation, and so that we can put our economy on a higher growth path. And as we pursue our policy to expand trade, in particular our exports, there must also be a greater participation of the small businesses so that the prosperity that brings about by trade can be shared evenly. And on the import side, we need trade that is fair and safe, that expands consumer choices, and therefore their well-being also. Ladies and gentlemen, the MRA, in particular its customs department, can play a significant role to ensure that as a country we maximize the benefits from trade. And that is why I believe, and I would like to reiterate again, that the slogan of the World Customs Organization for 2018 is quite pertinent to Mauritius. The MRA, through its customs department, has a significant role to play in ensuring that we have a secure business environment for development. Government has taken a number of initiatives and implemented significant reforms to improve the doing business environment. The results have been very positive. We have made a significant leap of 24 places to the 25th rank in the 2017 World Bank Doing Business Report. I am confident that similar efforts can be made to facilitate trade, make it more safe and fair, and also more inclusive. It is encouraging to see that in the recent years, the MRA Customs has re-engineered its business processes by applying modern techniques and promoting automation through paperless customs declarations, e-auctions, e-certificate of origin, e-payment, amongst others. and in the months and the years to come, they will be called upon to be even more efficient and effective in ensuring that clearance of goods are conducted in the most seamless way, but without compromising on security and infringements of our laws. As we move forward, I also expect all ministries and agencies involved in the import clearance processes to be at par in terms of automation, risk management, and post-clearance control. One major project under implementation is the single window Mauritius trade link for all permits and authorizations to be fully rolled out as soon as possible in order to reduce the cost and dwell time and the supply chain. Protecting our country and society from illicit trade is another function where customs has to be vigilant to ensure a secure environment for our development. In fact, the entire international trade system has become vulnerable to a wide assortment of risks and criminal activities. These range from misrepresentation of price, quantity or quality of imports or exports, to passing drugs through customs, to trade-based money laundering, and even terrorist activities. There are also the import of goods that infringe intellectual property rights and that can do considerable harm to the economy. Countries that have limited capacity to detect illicit trade and other crimes are the most vulnerable. Government obviously is conscious of these risks. That is why we have increased the resources put at the disposal of the MRA to fight smuggling, and this has resulted in an increasing number of drug seizures by MRA in collaboration with other enforcement agencies. In fact, in 2017, MRA has made record seizure of drugs to the tune of 3 billion rupees. Let me stress once again that although the war against the drug barons is a tough one, I'm confident that with the collaboration of all like-minded citizens, we shall overcome this scourge. I should here express my gratitude to all customs officers and staff of the MRA who are showing great dedication and commitment in this fight. And in fact, along with the ADSU, you are fighting that war, and you may rest assured that this government will give you all the support you need to continue the good work. In the current budget, I have provided 100 million rupees to equip MRA with additional sophisticated drug detection tools and equipment. This dedicated budget is being used to acquire, I am told, scanners, fast interceptor boats, additional sniffer dogs, drones, and CCTV cameras. Before concluding, I would like to congratulate the MRA for launching its 2018-2020 Corporate Plan and wish you well in the implementation of the projects in the plan. It is clear that as we pursue our development goals, the challenges are becoming increasingly complex and tough, the more so that we are also having to channel significant resources and efforts into combating the various evils that are destroying the very fabric of our society. I therefore call on the cooperation of one and all to double up our efforts so that we can all live up to our individual responsibilities and build that better Mauritius that we all want, like we have done in the past 15 years. I thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. We will now carry on with our program. William Wordsworth, the famous British poet, once said, in modern business, it is not the crook who is to be feared the most, but the honest man who doesn't know what he's doing. While you may have a great idea for a business, it will go nowhere unless you have a plan. Corporate or strategic planning guides companies towards success by setting long-term goals and ensuring these goals are met. Corporate planning provides an organization with a purpose and direction. There was a time when corporate planning was done by biggest companies and those who lead change. Now it is a requirement just to survive. Corporate planning forces CEOs to look ahead, anticipate change, and develop a strategy to proactively and successfully navigate through the turbulence created by change. I now have the pleasure to invite Mr. Roshan Ori, Acting Assistant Director, Research Policy and Planning Department, to make a presentation of the MRA Corporate Plan 2018-2020.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The 2018-20 Corporate Plan is in two parts. At least my presentation is in two parts. In the first part, we'll revisit the key achievements of the preceding corporate plan. In fact, it is a practice, it is a tradition in all our corporate plans that we review what has been promised and what has been achieved. In the second part of the presentation, we will cover the 2018-20 corporate plan in terms of the themes, the strategic objectives, and the key strategic initiatives. One of the strategic goals of the previous corporate plan was promoting tax compliance. We had a number of initiatives and projects to achieve this goal. And all these initiatives and projects culminate into one key performance indicator for the MRA, which is revenue collections. And on the screen, you can see the evolution of MRA collections from 2014 to 2017, which is the last corporate plan period, and from the inception of the MRA from 2006-07. Another corporate objective in the last plan was to widen the tax base. Why do we have to widen the tax base? Because when we have more taxpayers, there is a potential for increasing the amount of revenue for government. And as you can see on the screen, we have increased substantially our register of business taxpayers, which is self-employed, companies, and VAT-registered persons. Deepening of the tax base is also a priority for the MRA. We need to ensure that those who have the means pay the tax and the right amount of tax. And for those who fail to do so, we raise tax assessments on them. And on the screen, you can see how tax assessments has increased from 2014 to 2016-17. In 2016-17, we have raised 7 billion rupees of tax assessments. In other words, we have unveiled around 50 billion rupees of income which has not been declared. Our corporate plan also focused, our previous corporate plan also focused on high net worth individuals, on non-filers, and you can see from the screen that we have made significant improvements in terms of registering new high net worth individuals, raising assessments on them, and also we have over the 3.5-year period tracked 17,000 non-filers and taken them to task, make them pay their tax liability. Over the recent years, ladies and gentlemen, we have also started a claim a tax receipt culture. This is a three-pronged approach. On the first hand, we have started education campaigns to incentivize the public to claim a tax receipt. We have been issuing circulars to VAT-registered persons to remind them of their legal obligation to issue receipts, and as well as the penalties payable for failure to do so. We have also undertaken some enforcement action through field visit to VAT-registered persons to ensure that they are claiming a tax receipt. Linked to that claim a tax receipt culture, we have also in 2014 launched the VAT Lucky Draw scheme, which is basically a scheme whereby we encourage the public to claim a tax receipt for every purchase, to send details of the VAT receipt to the MRA through SMS and the website. And as at end of 2017, we have received almost 110,000 receipts at the level of the MRA, which are being used to track tax evasion. The last corporate plan also dedicated some sections on the gambling sector. We wanted to revamp our strategy in tackling tax evasion in the gambling sector, and there were a number of strategies, including enhanced visibility of officers on the field, intelligent visits, night visits, claims on horse owners, and in the last financial year, we raised 623 million rupees of assessments on operators in the gambling sector. The second goal of the last corporate plan was on taxpayer facilitation. And when we talk about taxpayer facilitation, one of the things which come to our mind is e-filing. And you can see on the screen how e-filing has evolved from inception to date and from our corporate plan period 2014-17. We have reached an e-filing rate of 99% as at last year. Linked to e-filing is e-payment. We have come up with a number of initiatives to encourage e-payment. And in 2014, 71% of the MRA total revenue was collected electronically. We have increased this amount to 85% towards the end of June last year. Regarding the refund income tax and VAT refund system, we already had a fast-track income tax refund system, but this has been continuously enhanced over the last 3 years. And today, we are effecting 80% of the income tax refunds within 10 days. In April 2017, we also launched the fast-track VAT refund system, and those VAT-registered persons who send us their claims, VAT refund claims, electronically, and where the amount is less than 2 million, we are refunding them in 7 days. For those sending manual returns, the refund is being made in 15 days. The third objective of our last corporate plan was trade facilitation and border protection, but I'll not focus on these because Director Customs and we had videos on the achievements on the custom reforms programs. To close on the review of the 3-year performance in the last corporate plan, I would like to mention an assessment done by a team of IMF professionals who were in Mauritius at the MRA in August and September 2017. They had reviewed all the policies, procedures, and practices at the MRA and rated us in terms of 28 different indicators. Basically, we have got out of the 28 indicators, we have achieved quite a good performance. What we have been told is that most of our practices and policies are at the same level as international best practices. In fact, the IMF team, the conclusion was that out of the 30 countries which they had surveyed, Mauritius was, the MRA was among the top 2 tax administrations. Let us now come to the 2018-20 corporate plan of the MRA. It is the 4th corporate plan that is being launched since 2008. The theme for this corporate plan is sharing prosperity nationwide. Sharing prosperity nationwide is indirectly one of the roles of the MRA. Why it is indirectly the role of the MRA? Because we collect money, we remit it to the government, and when we remit it to the government uses it to support the needy, those in the low income groups, and indirectly share prosperity nationwide. This breaker page, the corporate plan contains a number of breaker pages. If you can go back to the first breaker page, yes. In this first breaker page, we have on the left-hand side a drought-stricken area, and on the right-hand side, we have the clouds coming from the sea. The objective is to bring the clouds to the drought-stricken area. It is similar to the MRA. We have on the left-hand side, the role of the MRA, we have on the left-hand side people in the low-income group, the poor people, and the clouds are like money. We have to bring taxpayers' money to the people in the low-income group to help them to improve their standard of living. So in the second breaker page, we have clouds now moving towards the drought-stricken area. It is similar to the MRA again. We have to collect maximum amount of taxpayers' money, remit it to government, so that government can help those in need. In the third breaker page, we see that the clouds have moved to the drought-stricken areas. You can see also green pastures at the end of the pictures. So we see change is happening. We are striving for a better society. And in the last breaker page, we see that there is no longer this drought-stricken area. We have the tree has grown, there are green leaves, flowers. So what we have achieved is our vision and the vision of the government to spread nationwide prosperity. In terms of the 2018-20 corporate plan, there are 5 objectives, and in these 5 objectives, we have 107 projects and initiatives. Goal 1 in the corporate plan of the MRA is about easing tax compliance. And in Goal 1, we have a number of initiatives, including some for SMEs, with a focus on the right from the start approach. Why right from the start? Because we want to encourage SMEs to do the right things right from the start of their operations so that they don't end up in trouble with the tax authorities later on. This is why we have a number of programs ranging from the SME partnering program to the production of a series of videos for small businesses regarding their tax obligations for record keeping, filing of tax returns, payment of tax. We have not forgotten the large taxpayers because they are the one bringing the maximum amount of revenue for the MRA. So we are coming up with a number of initiatives for the large taxpayers as well. We are also, in this corporate plan period, we intend to firm up the system for the negative income tax, which was launched towards the end of last year. We will be effecting the payment of the special allowance as the DG mentioned in the days to come. We are also coming up with a collection of the NPF and NSF contributions. We intend to review the system, enhance the system, and also facilitate taxpayers in fulfilling their obligations under the NPF and NSF requirements. We have seen that there are a number of countries which have come up with an e-tax invoicing system. We intend to do the same in Mauritius. In the next corporate plan period, we also have a number of commitments in terms of at the international level. We are going to support government in meeting our commitments in relation to the BEPS initiative, the Forum on Harmful Tax Practices, and the EU initiative. The second goal of the corporate plan is about taxpayer education, communication, and facilitation. In terms of our taxpayer education strategy, we had a major breakthrough this year. In fact, in the textbooks for grade 7 students, there is included a chapter on the importance of paying taxes. What we intend to do in the years to come is to build on this achievement. We also intend to come up with an SME tax forum. We have seen that the police department has come up with quite some good clips on road security and road safety. So we intend to follow the footsteps of the police department by producing short videos and educational clips on television. In terms of our communication strategy, we are already on Twitter and YouTube. We intend to further expand the use of social media technologies. In the last taxpayer satisfaction survey that was conducted by the MRA last year, we have had some requests from taxpayers to introduce tax chats and web chats. We are going to look into that. We also believe that after 10 years of operation, it is time to carry out an audit of our education and communication strategy. So we are going to do that in the next few months. Regarding our facilitation strategy, we have in the last taxpayer satisfaction survey some taxpayers requesting for us to reduce the waiting time for telephony services during the peak income tax period. So we are going to revisit our strategy regarding telephony services. And of course, e-payment is still high on our agenda, and we will see how we can expand the scope of e-payment. The third goal in this 2018-20 corporate plan is about developing our people. And we have a number of initiatives, programs for developing our people, for obtaining their views and suggestions on how to improve the MRA business operations. We also had in the latest employee satisfaction survey conducted by the MRA, we had people suggesting that we should improve communication flows from top to bottom within the MRA. So we intend to increase communication and engagement with staff at all levels. Regarding our business processes, we already have an automatic refund system for individual income tax, for VAT. We are now considering in the next few months to introduce the automatic refund for corporate tax. We also intend to move successfully from ISO 9001-2008 to ISO 9001-2015. Regarding technology, we have at the level of the MRA a dynamic information systems department which has been continuously reforming our systems and processes over the years. They have come up with a new system for negative income tax. They are working on the new system for the payment of the special allowance and the NPF and SF contributions. They have promised us that in the coming days and months, they are going to work even harder and going to come up with several mobile applications that will help people to interact with the MRA by making use of the latest technology. So we are having the official launching of the MRA Easy, which is one of the applications to facilitate payment of NPF and SF contributions. Similarly, the Customs Department is launching 2 mobile applications today. This is from the Information Systems Unit of the Customs Department. We have heard a lot about big data recently. So the MRA is also looking into the possibility of tapping the potential of big data. This is why we intend to put in place a system for big data analytics and also recruit big data analysts. Government has come up with an interesting project in the form of the information highway, where public sector agencies share information with amongst each other. So we will expand our scope of receiving data from the highway and also ensure its seamless integration in the MRA IT system. I will not elaborate on the 4th goal of the MRA Corporate Plan, which is trade facilitation and border protection, since we have already seen so many of the projects. Finally, the final goal in the 2018-20 Corporate Plan is about strengthening good governance and improving corporate image. We have a number of initiatives ranging from compliance to the new code to automation of our declaration of assets and sensitization programs for improving our commitment towards people in the organization. I would like to end on a final note. Honourable Prime Minister, we are committed to optimizing tax revenue from taxes and duties. We also have a commitment beyond revenue, sir. As you know, some time back, the Director General came to you with a proposal for the MRA to collect social security contributions. This proposal was made, sir, because we believe that there were efficiency gains if the MRA could take over the contributions to the NPF and the NSF. The country would benefit, the funds, the National Pension Fund, and the National Savings Fund would benefit. So this has been done. We have also, at the level of the MRA, assumed responsibility for the payment of negative income tax and the payment of the special allowance. If you go back over the years, the MRA has also taken over the collection of a number of fees and duties. So let me close here, Honourable Prime Minister, to again say our commitment to not only collect maximum amount of duties and taxes, but also express our commitment beyond the revenue aspect. Thank you.
Mr. Nama Hemdat, who has made 11 drug seizures, namely 2 cases of cannabis, 6 cases of heroin, and 3 cases of synthetic drugs at the Courier Services Airport. Mr. Pearson Utam, team leader of the Brigade des Marchandises. He is also a WCO accredited expert in IPR and is currently in charge of the Brigade des Marchandises. Mr. Rampadarat Vikas Kumar Singh, who is team leader responsible for the administration of debts at Customs. The Customs anti-narcotic section was set up in August 2016 and has a dedicated team to combat drug trafficking at borders. The award is presented to the CAN section, represented by team leader Prabhas Risol. Just to inform you that last year we made record-breaking drug seizure worth 2.9 billion rupees. The MRA is pleased to offer a token. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now proceed to a group photo of our awardees with the Prime Minister, DG, and DOC.